You are listening to Your League Tennis Podcast with your host, Anthony Radonia. Anthony's an avid weekend warrior tennis player, just like you. Every week, he'll be interviewing new and exciting guests that will not only differ in experience and skill level, but also in age and physical ability. Your League Tennis Podcast is about making you a better tennis player. Whether you're a beginner or have been playing for years, in your 20s or in your 60s. Now, here is your host, Anthony Radonia.
All right, so there's the fancy intro, Bobby. So all credit to my wife. She knows how to do that. I'm still an idiot, so I don't know how to do any of that stuff. But thanks for coming, my friend. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah, driving out from Canyon Lake to my house. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate this. So I'm just going to start out with this because this is huge. You brought this for me tonight, so I got to show this on camera.
Well, that was for carrying me in the last match we played.
Oh, we're going to talk about that for sure. So what did you do here? What did you give me?
So just gave you a bat that I used. It's not a game used bat, but just a bat I used to swing, signature, and to you.
So
and
cool.
What I think I wrote, you're a great doubles partner, and then
World Series champ.
Yeah,
you wrote down.
Awesome doubles partner. Yeah.
And then so when you say like used, do you just have like a million bats that you used for practice or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have them anymore. I've given so many away, you know, over the years. But I still have a few left. So I figured it'd be a good time to give it to you.
Well, cool. Let's at least start with that then, because we met in league and we played against each other. It's probably a year ago, maybe, or more.
I think it was less.
Oh, really?
I feel like we just played in Marietta, maybe, it was only maybe 6 to 8 months ago.
Because the first time I met you was actually at your place in Canyon Lake. Do you remember that? We played on that bottom court. Remember we played singles?
That was the same league. I think it was Winter League last year.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so about a year.
Yeah, you're right. It was about a year.
Yeah.
It was great to play. You got me, right? You got me pretty good.
That was a good match, though.
That was fun. That was definitely fun. And it's just like meeting you and then playing in doubles against you, and then there's just not a lot of 5-0 guys around,
Yeah.
Especially Inland Empire. So it was nice to team up with you and have a league together.
Yeah. And I remember that match too, which was funny because I always tell the story to my other buddies is you're a very humble guy, a very normal guy. And we were talking after the singles match and I didn't know anything about you. Truthfully, I don't really look people up. I just go play, have fun, try to be nice and, try to win, but be nice, gain some friendships along the way. And I forget how I asked it, like, hey, when did you get into tennis or something? And then you said I played a little pro ball or something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I went home and looked you up and I'm like, oh my gosh. And well, at first, actually, I was like, oh, wow, I played some major leagues. It's cool. It's cool. And then I started YouTubing your name. And that's when I saw the World Series home run. And I think I sent you a picture of it or something later that night. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is you? And you're like, yep. Yeah. I want to talk about that, of course. But your rating right now, you're a 5.0 in tennis. Mm-hmm. Do you know your UTR? Do you follow that?
I want to say it's right around an 8.5.
Okay.
Right in that range. Yeah.
Are you playing tournaments outside league at all?
Not a lot.
Okay.
I've played a little bit. I played a 45s tournament last year, which actually ranked me in the U.S., which was kind of cool. But I'd like to.
How old are you again?
I'm 46.
You're 46. Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to play, but I think I'd like to play more doubles tournaments than singles tournaments. Find a partner, maybe you.
No, we got to do something. That'll be fun.
Maybe we can make a run in the 45s,
I just turned 45 this year, so I can play it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I think we'd do pretty good in that.
Yeah, I would love to do that because I've been playing 40s, and then obviously you can play lower, sometimes. But no, 45s would be a good league. But
I think so too.
Good tournament. We would love that. So, okay, so let's do this because I want to obviously get into tennis because the tennis podcast. But I want to lay the groundwork of who you are, why you're giving me a bat, number one. So let's just show the ring to start it, and then we'll talk about it. Where did you put that thing? So Bobby brought the World Series ring, 2007. Boston Red Sox. Oh, I got to see this thing. Is it massive?
There you go. It's
oh
pretty
my
big.
Gosh.
I never wear it.
Look at that thing.
I mean,
I did Google it actually. Just, I don't know. I sent you that little Instagram teaser and I looked it up.
yeah, that was cool.
Man, that's so cool. Oh, so it has your name on it.
Yep.
2007, seventh World Series champion. Oh, 4-0 sweep. I looked that up too. I see. I'm not a big baseball guy. You know what's funny is I grew up in West Covina, which is right by South Hills, and I'm sure you'll know the guys I'm going to bring up right now. A few years older than me was Giambi, the Lytles, and
Corey Lytle.
yeah, Corey Lytle, and then I forget who else.
Played with Corey Lytle.
You played with Corey.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
with the Blue Jays.
Oh okay.
Yep.
Oh, he played on the Blue Jays too.
Yeah.
Okay, not on the A's then. You guys weren't together.
No,
on the
we
A's?
weren't together on the A's.
Oh, that's so cool, Bobby.
Oh, thanks. Blue Jays. And then the crazy accident. Of course,
Yes.
that was
That was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, his family lives like 3 blocks from my parents where I grew up. So I sort of grew
okay.
up with his family, not knowing his family too good, but just knowing of them, and they were a little older than me. And I forget who else it was. Giambi, Lytles. There was one other. Oh, Aaron Small. Do you know that name? He played on.
I think so. Yeah, it rings a bell.
Yeah, he was in the majors too. I just forget how much. But those 3 guys played on the same little league team and the same high school team.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And then where did you grow up? What?
I grew up in Marina Valley.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I grew up there my whole life. Out of there, I went to USC to play baseball. Redshirted, left there, went to junior college, RCC for 2 years, and then finished up at Ole Miss.
Oh, wow. Did you go straight into the minors, or how does that work after college for baseball?
Yeah, so I was a kind of a different avenue. I was never drafted. And then after my year at Ole Miss, I went to, it's called the Cape Cod League, which is the best collegiate league in the nation to play. And I just blossomed there. I ended up becoming the MVP. And then it was like a Lollapalooza tour. Like every major league team was inviting me out every weekend. And I went to I think 12 or 13 different teams and just went on this big tour where I was hitting, running, throwing, and doing everything for them. And then at the end of it, offers came in, and then I signed with the Minnesota Twins.
How soon was that after college?
Right, I was right after college. In fact, I was still at Ole Miss when I was doing all that because I thought I was going to go back for my senior year, but I just sat out and waited and then signed in February. So I was at Ole Miss from August till February, and then February came, and then that's when spring training starts. So I went directly to spring training straight from Mississippi.
Did you end up finishing college then, or you didn't get to?
I didn't. No, I didn't finish. I came back and finished at University of Phoenix.
Oh, you did?
Online, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
When did you do that?
I did that. I think I finished in 2014.
Okay, so way after your baseball career.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's so cool. How much did you have left to finish?
I went to SC, then RCC, and then Ole Miss. 4 years of college, and I still had to do 2 more.
Years?
Yeah, 2 more years. Yeah, it's just nothing transferred. It's just everything. I always got good grades. Never had an issue with that. It was just when I went to SC, I was like a pre-med major, and then RCC, you're just doing your associate's degree, and then you go to Ole Miss, and there I was a math major, so I wasn't really nothing really fit together. And then at the end of the day, it was like, I got my business administration degree with Phoenix, and that just made the most sense,
And right now you're doing what? What kind of work?
I'm a real estate broker. I have about 22 agents that work underneath me. So they do a lot of business. I kind of manage all that. And then I sell and represent buyers and sellers, obviously. Or last few, when I first started, I got into it was when all the flipping stations were in, and my wife and I, we just kind of took that by the horn, started flipping, back in 2008, and that's what got me into real estate, and I got my license and so forth, and that's my main source of income is real estate, and then I'm a head tennis pro at Canyon Lake. So
at Canyon Lake. And so if you started that in 2008, that was one of the things I was a little confused about when I was just Googling you and Wikipediaing you, right? Which was after 2007, which I still want to talk about, you went to the minors, or you played still major league, or how does that work?
So actually, '07, that at bat was my last at bat in the big leagues, which is
Wow.
it blows my mind that's the way it ended. But you know, and then I went '08. I was with the Red Sox, and after '08, I didn't have a great year. I was injured, and I just felt like I knew I needed to do something to make sure that I kept making money. Most people think that if you played Major League Baseball, you have a ton of money, but in the grand scheme of things, I had 4 to 5 years where I made good money, but I didn't make the kind of money that superstars make. You know, I was a role player, bench player, and so you pretty much have to do something after you're done playing baseball. That's just the nature of it. So I felt like that was we got into flipping to make money that way, and then it turned into brokerage and so forth. So it was just a situation where my career wasn't. I didn't feel like at that point in time was nearly close to being over, but because I did play, all the way to almost 14.
Oh, really?
But it was minor leagues, the whole way. So yeah, it was just. I just knew that there was going to be something I needed to do when I was done, and I felt like that was a good situation to go to.
And do they pay guys in minor leagues or no?
They do. When you've played in the big leagues, at that point in time, I'd played 7 years in the big leagues, so you still get decent contracts, but they're not. They're right around $100,000 a year.
Okay.
So it was still good for
not bad.
for 6 months.
Yeah,
it was good.
All right, so let's go back to the '07 World Series then. So, like I said, I played a little baseball. I love watching sports, but I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who won the World Series last year. That's how little I follow baseball, which is sort of embarrassing.
No, that's okay.
So I had to look up the '07 World Series after, knowing that you're coming tonight. I had to just really look at it. And you guys destroyed the Rockies 4-0, right? Sweep.
Yeah.
And first game was like 13-1 or something like that. It just seems like it was a blowout series.
It was, yeah.
And fourth game, you guys are up 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
You get up in the 8th inning or the 9th inning?
I got up in the top of the 8th.
Top of the 8th inning. Yeah. It's 3-1. First pitch to you.
First pitch, yeah.
It's high fastball or
high fastball.
I guess high fastball. You kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Home run.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 4-1, and you guys end up winning 4-3.
4-3, yeah.
So really, it's the decisive home run in a way. They all count, obviously, for the win, but
it ended up being the game-winning RBI of the entire, World Series.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we were up at the time. It's different. Like if it was 3-3, and I hit it, that'd be different. But it still ended up being the game-winning RBI, which is super cool.
And that must have been in Colorado then, right?
That was in Colorado.
Okay, because when I was listening to it on YouTube, the crowd wasn't that into it, so I was like, "This must be in Colorado."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It wasn't loud. It was pretty quiet. I can tell you, like, that was my only at bat in the World Series.
In the whole World Series.
In the whole World Series,
wow.
Yeah. I played the series before, but I had about 7-8 days off. And I remember the night before, like it happened yesterday, I was talking to my family and they were all there. And I was like, I don't care how I get in. I just want to get in.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens. Like, even if I have to play defense for Manny Ramirez, like that would have been great for me just to say that I got to play.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was one guy I would face. It was Brian Fuentes, left-handed pitcher for the Angels. And nobody probably knew this, but including our team, including front office, and it would blow my mind if they actually did know this, but I probably had more bats against him in the minor leagues than any other player that I ever played against, and my numbers were fantastic against them in the minor leagues. But I was always known to be a good hitter off the bench against left-handed pitching. He was left-handed pitcher. I think they just, that's why I got pinched. That's why I pinch hit in that time period, was just to face him. But I had so much confidence going in there facing him. I'd seen him. I'd visualized probably 500 times during the series about how his arm slot was, how his ball was, how it kind of had like a riding effect. And, it's like I'd faced him 500 times before I actually had to face him. So,
when you say visualize, you literally are sitting down and just pretending you're at bat? Like, how are you
Yeah,
visualizing?
just like, when you visualize in sports or baseball or whatever, you're just closing your eyes, visualizing his arm angle, his arm motion, how this ball looks, what does it feel like to be in the box against them? Like it's a unique, scenario, probably how, Djokovic visualized facing Roger Federer serve. I'm sure he does the same thing, like that's what they do.
Yeah.
And, the idea of visualization is your brain, it's proven that your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually visualizing and the actual event happening in place.
Yeah.
So like if you visualize success off a pitcher, this is what we would do. If you visualize success or hits or whatever it is, your chances for success has increased, and so that's what it was all about. But so yeah, I was ready. And at the time, so the top of the eighth starts and I saw him running in. I'm like, this is my chance,
Oh, so he just got put in at that inning.
He got put in for the eighth inning.
Oh, wow.
And so this is my chance. And they actually didn't call me at first. They called Coco Crisp to be the pinch hitter.
Okay.
And I was just like, total letdown. Like, that's it. Like, that was my only chance to be in this World Series. And so I went to the top, stair and was just kind of sitting there. And just literally last minute, they completely changed their mind and said, they started screaming my name and, said I was going to hit. And I was just like, I jumped up, it was freezing in Colorado. I wasn't really, after I saw them say Coco, I kind of shut down. And then, then I literally went to the bat rack, put on my helmet, grabbed my bat. There was a heater right there. I sat in front of the heater for maybe like 20 seconds, then started walking. And as I was walking to the on deck circle, the umpire's calling me to the plate. So I got like one or two practice swings and I'm walking. And maybe it helped, maybe I didn't have time to think, but as I was walking to the plate, the one thing I told myself was, this is the World Series. Like, I'm not going up there taking pitches. I'm going up there to swing the bat,
So were people telling you what to do? Like,
no, but there's a situation sometimes, you're leading off an inning. It's leading. You want to take a pitch, just to see.
Okay.
But I'd already seen him enough. I knew what he had, and I knew I had to. His fastball kind of would ride and get on you a little bit, so I kind of cheated to the fastball. And I'd like to say it's luck, but the preparation, the visualization, the amount of times I'd face them, I don't believe it was luck. I think it was meant to be.
Wow. It cracks me up watching the YouTube a bunch of times. This one comment made me laugh because you sort of rounded the bases pretty quickly. And obviously the game's not over, right? Not even close. So I was expecting more high fives and cheers, but whoever was on deck didn't high five you. And I saw this comment on YouTube and they're like, who's this guy on deck that didn't high five Bobby? Like, it just cracked me up. So anyways, he was probably in the zone.
He was in the zone, getting ready for his at-bat. And that happens a lot.
Yeah.
He's walking in, I'm running by him fast. We miss high fives or whatever. And, Manny and David Ortiz are hugging me. And,
I saw that.
So that was
so
like
cool.
Super awesome. And then, but yeah, it was just a surreal moment. It was like, there's two moments that I can describe as being called up as a rookie, the adrenaline,
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like being a rookie again. Like, the adrenaline is so overwhelming, when you get put in a situation like that. And, it was like I was a rookie all over again.
Yeah. And like you said, last at bat in the major league.
Last at bat. Yeah. Last at
nuts.
bat. Yeah. I would never in a million years thought that.
Oh my gosh.
But it just, it just ended up that way.
How does Boston see you as a hero? Like, are you known there, or is it not really like that? Or
yeah, I mean, Boston fans are very knowledgeable.
Yeah,
and they remember. So certainly the fans that know their stuff, they remember me for sure.
Yeah.
There's a announcer that said he'll be able to get a beer at any bar in Boston for the rest of his life.
During that game, he said that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what they said, you know.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually gone to Boston and asked for my beer yet, but
Yeah.
maybe someday.
Oh, you haven't been back?
I have, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've been back. It's just you know, it's kind of a funny saying that they said, which is cool.
No, it's cool. Actually, I was going to ask that. Do you have to pay for any alcohol in Boston?
Yeah.
That was exactly one of my
right.
questions. So, obviously, I can stay on this topic forever, and it would be interesting for anyone who's listening, but I want to try to relate it to tennis as much as I can. So, when you talk about that situation of going up to bat, World Series, crowd, everything, you know, how does that relate to when you're playing a match, like let's say our doubles match? And so when I came home after our doubles match, we ended up losing the first set, I think, coming back, winning the second set, winning a very close third set tiebreaker. And when I came home, I actually talked to my wife about this. I said, Bobby's built different. It's not like me and you were hitting the most amazing shots to win, but there was something I saw in you, really, and I mean this, that there was something that made you just, God, I don't even know how to describe it. You weren't hitting better, but there was something in those close points where you were there, like focused, you were mentally there, and you just didn't miss. And like, I'm sure you can even think of some volleys or whatever, they were hitting at you hard. And it's not like you were hitting this beautiful winner volley away, but you weren't missing.
Yeah.
And so when I went home, when I thought of that match, I was like, man, Bobby's just built different. That must be something he's gained over time, like through his baseball years, where when it counts, he's there. I don't know. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, dude, I actually thought about a lot of similar stuff. I felt like we both kind of clutched up, you know, at the end. And because it was like the first set, I felt like I was a little bit all over the place. I wasn't as consistent as what you're saying. And then, I don't know. I feel like we got in the heat of the battle and I really wanted to win.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, God, I want to win this match.
Yeah.
I felt like, the pedigree on the other side was a little better than us.
Yeah.
You know, what they, you know, college tennis and what they'd been through. And, it was just, I also didn't want to let you down. You know, I wanted to win, you know, and, I mean, I felt like the important points were the ones we won.
No, you're right.
Like,
totally.
It just, I don't feel like necessarily they may have won more points, but we won the important ones.
Yeah.
You know, I loved the match. It was an awesome match. I had a lot of fun that day.
Oh yeah. That was so fun. You know, thinking, when I read more on YouTube about the World Series, there was this one sentence that caught my eye and I tried to relate it back to tennis and even our tennis match. I know the sports aren't the same, but I was surprised to read that the Rockies made no errors in your World Series. I don't know if you've known this or read this.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that.
Literally the third team in history to make no errors in a World Series. And the other two teams were in the 50s, like Yankees, Orioles, something like that.
And probably the other ones won.
See, I don't know. To tell you the truth, I'd have to look that up. But it was Yankees in the 50s and the Orioles in the 60s. So I'll look that up. You're probably right.
Yeah.
I was so surprised to see no errors and a sweep against them.
Yeah.
Obviously, the sports are different because no errors is huge in baseball. But I sometimes think that's my issue in tennis, which is I'm playing for no errors instead of playing to win. Like, maybe, can you talk about that a little? I know maybe baseball isn't on point.
I mean, I mean, with baseball, gosh, you get out there and you start playing a little timid, and the game will pass you by, you know. And that's what happens to a lot of players that get called up, you know, as rookies. They get nervous, they get scared, and they get their shot, and they don't necessarily succeed. And they send them down, and then they come back up, and you know, sometimes the same thing happens, and you're like, God, this guy's incredible in the minor leagues, but he can't put it together in the big leagues. And I think it has to do with playing timid and just you know, sometimes playing too safe, right? I mean, in tennis, sometimes when you play too safe, you're like, God, why didn't I go for that shot, or you know, why didn't I? And I think at the end of the day, when you finish a tennis match and you feel like you went for it, and you lost, you're going to feel a lot better if you didn't go for it and you lost.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
No, totally. All my regrets in tennis after the match are that I didn't trust myself and swing out. And I'm not necessarily making a million errors because I don't really make errors. But I the other person's always blowing me out. When I lose, and I'll watch it on Swing Vision or something like that, the other person's always blowing me out. And it's not like they're necessarily stronger than me. It's just that I'm not hitting out. I'm not trusting my shot.
yeah.
You know, so it's definitely that.
Yeah. For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just, it's funny how the mind can get involved with your ability to perform,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
I think when you can let it go and clear your mind and take all the extra information out and just play, you know, the way you're supposed to play, then I think good things happen, right?
Yeah. Which is sort of what happened going back to our important points. I wasn't necessarily thinking. It was just me and you reacting to each other, like you said, and trying not to let each other down.
Yeah.
Which is why doubles is so fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
different than singles. But we were just there, just pumped, and I wasn't really thinking. We were just swinging. Points were going fast.
Yeah.
But
they were super fast.
Yeah, they were going fast. But somehow we were getting them. We were hitting the right serves. We were doing everything right, and when it counted.
Yeah, when it counted.
Strange.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you know, I win singles matches and I'm not nearly as pumped as winning a doubles match. I don't know, you know, what it is, but I'm super excited to win doubles, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like a team thing, you know.
And we got one more league match. Was it next Saturday or Sunday?
Next Saturday, yeah.
So we got to play that one. Oh, you know what? Something I didn't ask you was, you were on the A's as well prior to Boston?
Yeah.
Right prior to Boston. So that wasn't necessarily like the Moneyball year, right? Because I'm trying to think back to the movie. I think it was 2002 is like supposedly the year of the movie.
Of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2002 is the movie. I was with the Twins. In fact, I'm in the movie Moneyball.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wait, you personally or your name?
So they're flashing cards. I don't know if you remember the part where they're flashing players.
Okay.
And I'm one of the players that pop up. In fact, a bunch of people always sent me a text like, dude, I just saw you in Moneyball. So
Really?
send that. And it's super fast, right?
Okay, I got to check that out.
But then also, when they played the Twins, I'm actually live footage of me hitting in that movie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's
okay. I totally got to watch that.
It was a huge out that they made, you know, to close out a big win. You know, I can't remember if it was their big 20th win or not, but it was during that series when they were showing them win all those games, and I was one of the outs that was a big win for them.
Oh, you're one of the outs, meaning you hit.
I hit,
and they
threw me out at first
threw
base.
You out. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
to end the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you one of the guys that Billy Bean or whoever else wanted after 2002?
Yes.
You were.
Yes, I was. So I got traded there in 2004 in the off season.
Okay.
And I was a Moneyball guy. You know, I had a good on base percentage.
Yeah.
So if you look at my stats from like the Twins, my numbers are really good. You know, and you know, I went to the Blue Jays. I got traded to the Blue Jays, and then in between that off season and the next is when Billy traded for me, and so and it was because of my on base percentage and so forth. And you know, I just when I went over to the A's, I just, you know, the playing time was a little sporadic right from the get go, which kind of created a wonder in my mind as you know, I thought I was getting traded to play every day, and I just wasn't getting thrown out there every day, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, could it have been different? Who knows? You know, there's a lot of things I probably could have changed in my major league career. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to play more and more and get more playing time. And you know, when I was with the Twins, I was playing very well, but I was bummed that I wasn't playing every day, and I wanted to play every day. And I was a young player, and I felt like I deserved to play every day. Mm-hmm. You know, but at times I may have said the wrong things to my manager back then, and that's probably why I got traded the first time. But you know, I probably could have stayed in Minnesota for 10 years and kept doing the role that I was doing. But
Yeah.
It's all, water on the bridge in the sense that I just, I wanted the opportunity to play every day. I don't think it ever would have happened in Minnesota, but I could have stayed there for a long period of time.
So my understanding of the movie is am I saying that right? Billy Bean. Is that the guy's name, right? Okay. His want for players and then whoever his assistant was because guys were undervalued. So were you considered an undervalued guy, or you're saying you sort of flew under the radar?
Well, yeah, I mean, so they always wanted to look for players. When they say undervalued, they're not getting paid a lot of money yet, right?
Okay.
So if they can find a guy that has a year or two in the majors, where you're like, look at the on base percentage, he's not really getting paid a lot of money. Or they would look in the minor leagues, and look for the high on base percentages and try to bring those guys in, and they would have success, and then they wouldn't have to pay them that much for about 3 years.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the way they did it, and it worked extremely well for many, many years. But I think that there's so many other teams doing that now that it's harder to pull that off without spending money, and keeping guys. And I think it'll continue to be harder because the front office has really dived into that. And so, but the undervalue, I mean, for me, I was a bench player, so I wasn't getting a lot of at bats. That's really where it comes to making a lot of money, is getting that 500, 600 at bats, and as with those at bats, better numbers are coming. I was getting the 250 to 350 at bats, and so I was pretty cheap.
Okay.
And so that was exactly.
So, and again, always trying to relate this back to tennis, but the more I looked into what Billy Bean was trying to accomplish, or even people before him, and trying to understand what sabermetrics is and all this stuff, I started realizing, like you said, it's more on base percentage versus just batting average. They were looking at other stuff, slugging percentage, on base percentage. And then I was trying to relate that somehow to tennis. And I know I'm just throwing this at you, and if you don't have an answer, that's fine. But it seemed like sabermetrics, all these guys were trying to say, we're focused on the wrong thing. I guess that probably came from the movie too. But it was like, we're focused on the wrong thing here. Everyone just focused on batting average, and that doesn't win games. And I'm trying to relate that somehow to tennis. And I started thinking, maybe I'm focused on the wrong thing. Like, why aren't I winning? Am I focused on, I don't know how, like my stroke? Like sometimes, not being conceited, I really try to look in the mirror and look at my stroke. You know what I mean by that, right? Like, meaning I'm trying to, is my stroke pretty? Is it the right way? Is it, and so am I focused on the wrong thing, you think? Should I just be focused on, I don't know, keeping the ball in play, not making errors, going for it? Like, what do you think it is? If
I think like just me thinking about what you're saying, like if I were to compare batting average to on base percentage, I would probably compare it to like, how hard are you serving, right? What's the speed of it compared to, am I serving it to the backhand more, or am I serving it to the forehand more, right? So let's say you're slamming first serves and you're going to the forehand the whole time, are you going to have as much success?
Yeah.
So I think it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like that would maybe be more related. Like, it's great that you have this big serve or this great average.
Yeah.
But how successful is it?
Yeah.
Is it more successful that you'd have that great big serve to the backhand compared to the forehand? Like, I think most people are probably taught to like try to serve to the backhand more, right? I mean, especially like to me, I'm a one-hander,
Yeah.
So I think it's like they started diving into what really matters and what can win more games, right? And I think it's kind of like what you and I would look at if we were playing a singles match. We're gonna probably the first thing we're gonna do is try to beat up the backhand, come in and volley, right? Like or just pound the backhand until something opens up and so forth.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of.
No, it totally makes sense what you're saying, because I think it is what I do wrong, which is I'm more concerned with how hard or how slow is my first serve. Like, it's not fast enough. It's actually what I go out and practice.
Yeah.
I'm probably practicing the wrong thing. I'm not noticing like what's their weapon. I probably don't even notice sometimes if they're a lefty or a righty, to be honest, like till maybe halfway through the match.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, I know I'm going to serve at this spot as hard as I can.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's being focused on the wrong stuff. Totally.
And sometimes like that's just playing to your strength, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if your strength is to serve to a certain spot of the box and you're really good at it, then it may actually hurt you to try to go to, if the backhand side isn't your best spot, maybe it would hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's interesting though, because I think about that too. If I'm not noticing my opponent, I had a friend on, Adam, Adam, my friend Adam on the podcast, and he actually said during the warm up in tennis, he's paying attention to them. What's their strengths, what their weaknesses is. And I said, I've never done that once in my life. And now I'm thinking, should I just play my strengths or should I play their weaknesses? I guess maybe a mixture of both,
Probably a mixture of both, right?
Yeah.
I try to do that, and sometimes I evaluate wrong, and it takes me a set to be like, okay, I've been going to his backhand the entire match, and he's just not missing, and then, or example, let's say you're hitting big first serves and they don't have any problem with it, and then you're hitting kick serves and they're having a problem with it. It's just all kick, but that one always confuses me. If I'm serving big and they're slapping it back just as hard, then I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's not fun watching it come back at me. So I don't know. I'm always trying to figure something out. Sometimes I'm not right. Sometimes I am, I guess, but I try to figure it out in warm ups, and see what it looks like.
So you are thinking about that even during the match. You're not just out there swinging. You'll do high top spin. You'll change it up. You'll do as much as you can.
I try to, yeah.
Okay.
Especially with the serve, because I feel like if I can get something where I'm like, oh, that's working, I'm gonna keep doing it because it's working. Because I don't want the ball coming back.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough for it to come back and have to react to it.
And we're getting too old and too heavy.
My strokes aren't that pretty. My strokes are kind of they're like my swing in baseball. It wasn't a pretty thing, but it got the job done.
Yeah. What do you weigh right now? Do you want to say that on air?
I'm like 225.
And what's a good weight like that you would love to be for tennis?
I'd love to be like 205.
Okay.
210. I'd be faster and I wouldn't hurt as much.
Yeah.
I think the weight just it crushes my knees. Not that 225 is like super heavy, but I do need to lose some weight.
So you're a good 20. You would like to lose 20.
20, 15 to 20.
That's actually exactly what I'm at. If I can lose 15 to 20, which I have before, and my tennis was amazing. Everything was different.
I think everything the movement, the mobility, I mean, wouldn't you agree? Like when you have the mobility, you're that much better.
Yeah. I wasn't hurting. Like, especially when I was stretching too. When I lost the weight, for some reason I was doing everything else right. Like now I'm doing nothing right. I should be at least stretching, doing some other things right. But when I lost the weight, I was doing everything right.
Yeah.
Like I was stretching, I was doing sit-ups.
Yeah.
I don't do that stuff right now.
I don't either. You just feel better,
Oh, totally. And my back felt better. When I was doing sit-ups, my back felt amazing. Now every morning when I wake up, my back hurts. I'm like, why? Is it my back? And no, it's probably I have a weak stomach.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What else was I going to say? So, when we played doubles, you played the backhand, right? No.
Yeah, I played the backhand.
You did play the backhand. Okay, that's right. And which later on I started thinking about that. That's a little strange, right? You have the one-hander, and I got the two-hander. I feel a little more comfortable on my two-hander, and I don't remember why we did that.
Well, for me, I struggle with the one-handed backhand inside out. That's a tough shot for me. Whereas the backhand cross court is a little easier for me. So I think that we probably could play really well the other way too. But I would probably go with more cut lobs over the net player than trying to go inside out. That's tough for me.
On the deuce side.
On the deuce side, the inside out one-hander is a difficult shot for me to pull off.
Yeah.
But if I can rip a one-hander cross court, it just tends to work a lot better for me.
Yeah. When you're teaching right now? You said you're teaching just kids, or is it all around?
Kids, adults. Yeah.
You are?
Yeah, everybody. Were you going to ask which one I teach?
No, well, I was going to ask like that because I'm interested when you're dealing with your own problems in doubles, like you're noticing, you're hitting this shot better, that shot better. Like I was just interested on how you're teaching kids. Like, is it double strategy? Are you not there yet? That's what I was asking about the age. But
Yeah, we do. I mean, with the high school girls, I get into double strategy with them. It's pretty simple, basic stuff to make sure they're positioned, right and trying to come in when the ball's deep and so forth. But like as far as strokes are concerned, I just feel like the two-hander is just a better shot to teach. So I don't ever teach a one-hander.
Interesting.
I haven't taught a one-hander to anybody. It's always a two-hander.
So even right when they're starting out, you're
right
making
when they're
sure.
starting out. I just you watch the two-handers return serve.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's always better.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, wouldn't you agree?
No, I do, because the one-hander has to rely on the slice. I mean, if you're Federer, who cares, I guess. But
Yeah.
You're right. The one-hander has to rely on the slice a lot.
Yeah. And you hear, you watch the pros play and all the great one-handers, you still hear the commentators always talking about, the one-hander's going to break down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear it over and over again on TV, like, Tsitsipas, his return to serve on the one-handed side backhand isn't near as good as his forehand.
Yeah.
So there's times where I wish I was a two-handed returner and then a one-handed shot maker.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about that, because I do actually hit a one hand if it's really low and the guy's pressing the net and it's a certain shot. I really can't describe it maybe unless we're on the court, but it's a certain shot where I'm running to the left.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do hit a one-hander sometimes.
Because you can maneuver
it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because it feels a little stuck when the two hands, but the one hand I feel
you can flick it
across court,
kind
or
of like a forehand, right?
Yeah.
I agree. And but the return of serve, I'd much rather have a two-hander.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's interesting. Are you using weight on your racket at all?
Like lead?
Yeah.
No.
Have you ever?
I haven't. No.
Do guys? I mean, I know baseball, they weigh their bats and everything, but I don't know. Is there anything comparable like that in baseball?
Yeah, I mean, so when we order bats, they're all a little different.
Oh,
and like you could order a dozen bats, and there's 6 to 8 of them that you actually like. The other 4, you're like, just doesn't feel right, And it could be a 0.1 ounce, but we can feel it. It's really when you're swinging a bat every single day.
Yeah,
and and it's just that it's kind of like, they talk about Federer, swinging rackets. They're like, this isn't right. Something's not right about it. And it's maybe the most minuscule gram of an ounce or whatever, like that sounded intelligent, huh? Gram of an ounce.
Yeah.
But it's so minuscule that you'd think that they wouldn't know, and it may even be wrote on there that it's the same weight.
Yeah.
But we'll go measure it and it's not the same weight.
I've always been interested about that too, because they actually say that when you get your racket, it might be slightly different.
Slightly different, yeah.
Which is why the pros have someone that weighs it, and they do use weight, but they'll get all the specs exactly the same.
Perfect.
Because you're right.
I mean, it may happen to them too, where they get 10 rackets come in and maybe they only like 4 of them.
Yeah.
But that's what happens with baseball too. It's so mental, like you're like, God, it just doesn't feel quite right. Or maybe the bat was cut. It's the same exact weight. You measure it, but it wasn't cut exactly the same way. You know what I mean? Or there's a little more head weight in the barrel. That will get you every time. If there's a little more head weight in the barrel, you're like, no, it's got to feel balanced. Like for me, it always had to be a balanced bat. I didn't like any weight at the end of the bat because it just felt heavy.
How about in tennis then? Are you headlight handle heavy? Do you care about that stuff? Do you think about it?
I don't like it when it's when it's the lighter head, a lighter headlight.
Lighter head, yeah.
I do like it. I think whether they measure it at a 1, is it like 0.5, 1 or whatnot? I like it. I like it right at a 1.
Because I've been putting. I got to show you after. Been taking the butt cap off. and I actually put fishing putty, you know, the putty that they put on, you know, fishing lines when they throw, like to make to get a little heavier.
Yeah.
I've been stuffing that in the butt cap. It's tungsten putty, and the handle feels nice. So it's making
It's heavier down here.
it's heavier down the handle. So technically, it's making the racket head light because obviously the handle's heavier than the head. But for some reason, it feels so nice, and it feels a little deader to me. So something about it when I hit just feels really nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to find what feels good, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think as a tennis player, as a baseball player, both situations, if it doesn't feel right, how can you really perform like the way that you want to?
Yeah.
It's always going to be in your head, man, something's not right with my racket, or something's not right with my bat.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible to perform to your best.
Yeah.
But if it feels great, you know, watch out.
How did you get into tennis after baseball, or was it always part of your life?
No, so I got my daughters into tennis. I just always felt like it'd be a good sport for them to get into, and they just were, you know, taking lessons at Canyon Lake, and I figured, man, I better start playing because at some point I didn't want to get beat, you know, and so it was I didn't want to get beat by them.
By them?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't want to get beat by them.
Yeah, I didn't want to get beat by them because they're getting good, you know. And my, you know, I hit with my daughter now, and she can beat me in a set here and there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And she's out of college?
she's a 17-year-old. She's a
17.
she's a junior.
Junior, okay.
Yeah, but she's graduating early, so she's graduating this year as a junior. But you know, when I play her, I'm like, man, there's a lot of 5-0 guys that don't hit as hard as she does.
Yeah.
She hits really hard, and her backhand's super hard and flat, so it rushes me. You know, it's hard to it's hard. She gets points off me that way.
Yeah, the younger kids right now are hitting so hard. There's some kids on my club.
They hit so hard, man.
Oh man.
Like, wouldn't you agree? Like the kids are hitting harder.
I think so. I don't know if it's just us being old and we're thinking that, but I truly believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know for a fact I wasn't hitting as hard as them when I was young, and I was playing all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, you would know more than me. I didn't play tennis. I mean, I played very little tennis when I was little. We did, like me and my buddy, I had a good friend who I grew up with. We actually both, played in the big leagues, you know, and it's just but we would go down. I mean, he was Michael Chang, right? Like that's who he was imitating, his swings and everything. And I was always imitating Boris Becker. Like that's what we were trying to do. We'd go and watch, you know, Wimbledon and matches all the time. You know, we watched tennis. We didn't play a lot, but we watched it. And then we went to the tennis courts and tried to emulate the way that they hit, they served, you know, all the things that they did. Even though we may not look like them, we felt like we looked like them.
So when did you start playing like more often? And obviously you're teaching now. So when did you start really getting into playing?
So like probably, I want to say it's about 6 years now. Wow. So I started playing like 6 years ago, you know, started at the 3-5 level. Then, you know, I was playing like mixed 7-0 with my sister and just players from the club, and then 4-0, and then 4-5, and then 5-0. But
how long have you been a 5-0?
I've been a 5-0 for it's either 2 or 3 years now.
Okay.
But I feel like when I became a 5-0, it's just like I haven't been able to play that much. And the last few years, like the leagues that you and I have played, that's all I've really played.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to play much at all. Like I think it was about 3 years ago, we did take a 5-0 team to sectionals, which was super fun. But that was, you know, we can't put two 5-0 leagues together, or teams in our league here in Riverside to do it. Otherwise, we'd probably go.
Yeah. No, it's so hard in our area because it's us, then you, and then the next club is, I don't even know where, a good 20, 30 miles north of you, maybe.
Well, you got, you know, Andolka. Andolka's, dude, it used to be, You had Indolka had a 4-5 team. We had a 4-5 team. Marietta Tennis Club had a 4-5 team.
Yeah.
Then you had even Canyon Crest had a 4-5 team.
That's
then,
right.
Then you also had the Rancho, the Crickets. I don't know if you ever played against the Crickets, but they had a 4-5 team. And it was a great league. But, man, when coronavirus hit,
Yeah.
a league died. You know,
Yeah.
it's lucky to get 2 teams for the league now.
Yeah.
Plus, guys are getting older. You know, I mean,
Yeah. It seems like you could still get a 4-5 team together. The 5-0 gets a little tougher
5-0's hard.
at
Yeah,
our age, I think.
it is. It's hard to get a 5-0 team together.
Yeah. So what's your daughter's plan? Does she want to go play in college?
She does. Yeah.
Cool.
I had my older daughter. She originally signed to go play Division II at a school up north, and then it was still going to be kind of expensive to go there, and then she also applied to University of Arizona, and she got a full academic ride there. So it just made sense, you know.
Okay.
And she's having a blast there. So it's
She playing any sports?
she just kind of messes around with recreational stuff. But, and then my younger daughter, she really wants to focus over the next 6 to 8 months and try to get her rating up to go D1.
Oh, wow.
It's you know, the D1 for men and girls is super frustrating because it's like 80% European players.
Oh, interesting. I guess it's always been.
It hasn't. No, I mean, I don't know how long. It's been like that for a little while now. But, you know, 15, I don't even know the total years, but I know 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't know. I kind of feel like there should be a cap, but just to get more Americans to Division I tennis, you know, it's kind of, it's super, super hard. And in fact, the stats show now that it's the hardest sport out of any sport to make it in D1.
As an American,
American athlete, you know, if you compare football, basketball, the percentages is, I think it's the lowest for Americans to actually play D1 tennis.
Interesting. I mean, I guess it also goes into tennis is more of a world sport versus football or even basketball. Well, basketball is a world sport. Let's be real, but
basketball, yeah,
it's still, I guess, Americans sort of lead the way still, but not like tennis. Really.
I feel like, and someone described this to me recently, is like college tennis is like the minor leagues for baseball.
Yeah,
in the sense that the players are so good.
Yeah,
you know, you win the NCAAs and you got an automatic bid, you know,
for sure,
into the U.S. Open.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
Oh, heck yeah. Did you get a chance to go see Ojai? Did you go watch any college?
I didn't. No, I haven't been to Ojai yet.
Oh, you haven't? But you know of it, right?
I know of it, yeah.
Okay.
Love to go. I'd love to do it and experience it, but I haven't done it yet.
Oh, your daughter would love it too, because I got to go and I watched the Pac-12 women's and men's finals. So it was Stanford versus USC for women's and USC versus Utah for men's.
Oh, wow. Really? Wait, USC were in both then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's
I guess they always are. I don't follow it that much, but I guess USC is always there.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. And I think they won the Pac-12 the last 3 or 4 years, and then they get to go to the NCAA tournament. So it was so fun.
Yeah, you know, I think I'd like to see all the Grand Slams at some point.
Oh, heck yeah.
And next year, my wife and I are going for our 25th anniversary to do Wimbledon. That's actually going to be our 25th anniversary, so that'll be fun.
Very cool. Have you seen any pro tournaments recently?
I always go to Indian Wells.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
did you go this year?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We go every year. And our kids have always been ball kids there.
Oh,
so,
okay.
They were there. They were ball kids for like 5-6 years. You know, I think their highlight was, I think they both have done Federer and Serena Williams.
Oh my gosh!
So they don't let the inexperienced kids go on, but after like 4 or 5 years, they got to go on the main stage and ball kid with those. So that was cool.
What's that process like? You go try out? Like literally, you have to try out?
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. If you have tennis experience in your kid, you can just if you research it online, ball kids for Indian Wells, all you got to do is do the training. It's usually a 4-day training situation, and once you pass everything that you're required to pass, they'll take you.
Oh, that's cool.
It's all it's all, no non-pay,
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
you or anything. But at one point we were thinking about letting them do the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. They actually pay you for the U.S. Open.
Oh,
which
really?
is pretty cool. But
Oh my gosh.
we never did it. But
She did it this year too, or no?
she didn't do it this year. No,
Oh, okay.
they didn't do it this year. They did it last year and the last 5 years, 6 years before that.
Oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, they always loved it. It was a super fun experience for kids. If anyone, listening, it's actually pretty easy to get into those, and which is a perk. They give you 2 tickets to every single day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's kind of
Oh heck yeah.
the perk. So we had 6 tickets to every single
Oh wow.
event. So it was pretty cool. We were giving them away and stuff, but
My little one's 8, so she wanted to do it, but that's probably too young. She probably wouldn't understand what's going on and how to do it yet. But
yeah, they used to take the really young ones, but I know they recently in the last couple of years, I think they made an age cap on it.
oh, okay.
I don't know what that age is. It may be 12, it may be 14. I know that both my kids were doing it at 12 at one point. But yeah, I think 8 is gonna. You probably have to. I think it's 12. It could be 14, but if they're not getting a lot of ball kids, they probably open it up to some younger ones.
interesting. I remember that totally reminded me of that bat boy problem. There used to be like young bat boys, right?
Yeah.
Till something happened.
Yeah,
And I don't
that's
remember
right.
what that thing was. Like someone ran into him or they messed up a play.
He was going to home plate to get a bat when the play was going, and there was a runner, coming in, and it was going to be a play at the plate, and somebody, I think maybe the guy in deck, had to grab him and yank him out of the way.
The bat boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
the bat
wow.
boy. Yeah. And so yeah, it was a kind of a scary moment because
Yeah.
he would have got crushed.
Yeah, yeah.
It would have been ugly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So they don't have any young bat boys anymore.
I don't think they have any young. They used to have the little ones, do it, but
Yeah.
they don't do that anymore. Yeah, just for safety reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Bobby, I know you gave me an amazing present. I don't know if you've watched the podcast, so I try to give everyone one little present. This won't match up to what you gave me, but this is an Alcaraz card.
Oh shit!
So
Sweet.
I collect cards.
Awesome.
Leaf made this card this year actually, and it's numbered to 2,300 something. So they only made that many of this particular card, and then they have a signature one where it's worth a lot more, where his autograph.
Oh, right.
But I bought 3 or 4 of this particular card. I kept one, and I gave out one last week, and I wanted to give you that just to say thank you.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
I
thank
love
you,
it.
really,
Yeah.
really for coming. So
Really cool.
I really appreciate it, Bobby. I mean, just you talking about visualizing alone really, I think, made this podcast, and then obviously you talking about your experience in the World Series. But I'm gonna start doing that because I do sometimes on a long drive. I'll just start thinking about playing a point. And every now and then, it's pretty rare, but I think I should do it. I'll actually try to play a set in my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I did it that one time. I just sort of imagined it. And I don't remember if I won in my imaginary set or not.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter. Or maybe I should win. Huh? Do you think I should visualize winning?
I think the positive experiences are what
Okay.
you're really trying to get out. So yeah. A great example of a server compared to a pitcher is a perfect visualization situation. Like a pitcher can visualize hitting corners, or I'm going to hit a slider, or I'm going to throw a slider on the outside corner, or I'm going to throw a slider down and in, or whatever they're going to do. But at one point, as a pitcher, you could actually visualize what you're going to pitch the second before you actually pitch it. And the chances of success of that pitch getting executed, it increases by a certain percent. So like, let's say you're serving and you're like, I want to hit the tee and close to the tee for an ace, right? So if you actually visualize you doing that right before you did it, hypothetically, your chances of actually executing it should be a little bit higher.
Wow, that's so cool.
Because your mind thinks it just did it, and it's going to try to repeat the motion, so that would be a great example of a pitcher and a server,
Yeah.
hitting your spots.
Which Obviously, I guess every now and then I do this when I'm playing my best tennis. I'll sort of know where never on the serve. My serve is never good. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not visualizing on my serve, but on the return, on the ad side, every now and then I can sort of call where they're gonna hit it, and I sort of feel like I'm like writing a script. I go, okay, they're gonna hit here. I'm gonna hit here. The next ball's gonna land here, and every now and then, like 2 or 3 balls, I can almost see it happening prior to it happening.
Yeah.
And if it happens that way, man, I'm hitting a good shot.
You stick it, right?
Yeah.
Like if guys served you 5 or 6 balls in this spot, and then you're seeing before it happened, he's gonna go to that spot again.
Yeah.
You end up crushing it, right? That's
No,
kind of
totally.
the same scenario. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I gotta try to implement that more often.
Or like, let's say, you just visualize, great shots down the line or something, stuff like that. I think is, there's just so many similarities, like being in baseball and then going to tennis. The similarities are really, the serve is like a throwing, seeing the ball bounce and recognizing where you're supposed to be before early, trying to get to spots early, it's just like, reading a ground ball.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to make contact. You're always supposed to feel the ball out in front. You're supposed to make contact out in front. All those little things kind of play. But it's such a good transitional sport. Like I like right now, I like tennis way more than baseball. But I played baseball my entire life. I burned out, But if you were to say, "Hey, Bob, you want to go play a baseball game or a tennis match?" I'm going to pick tennis match.
Really?
100% of the time.
So how much like hitting the ball in baseball versus, I guess it would be maybe a forehand if you're a righty. So how similar or dissimilar are those? Like, are you seeing a lot of similarities, like hip turn, shoulder turn? I don't know. Lag with the bat. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lag with the bat. Yeah, the hands come through first and the barrel comes, second. But there's nothing like hitting a home run.
Yeah.
There really isn't. Like, the grind of hitting is way harder to deal with than they're different than playing a tennis match. Like tennis match is more of a consistent mental grind.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is more of a, you fail and then you gotta wait till your next at bat, which is so much farther down the road. And then you take another at bat, and then let's say you go 0 for 4 in a game. And that's why slumps are so bad. Like mentally, you want to beat yourself up, because if you go on a 10 game, slump and you're 0 for your last 40, it feels like eternity, whereas tennis, it's not. It's more, for me at least. It's more like the entire match is more of a mental grind, and then when you're done, win or lose, you're not beating yourself up as much. Sometimes you can, right? But by the next day, you're not really, you're ready to play again.
Yeah.
Whereas in a baseball situation, man, you can beat yourself up for a very long time.
I had a buddy once tell me who played baseball. I think he got into the minors. But he said hitting a baseball is the hardest thing in sports. I forget. We had an argument about it one time, and I don't remember why we were arguing about it. Just buddies arguing about sports stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? How is that? Is there anything comparable to trying to hit a fast major league pitcher's ball?
When I first got called up, I was like blown away with major league pitching. Like, man, this is not going to last long. I was like, I'm going back. Like, because the movement and the speed and how fast everything was.
Yeah.
Encapsulated with the fact that I was geeked out of my mind to be there, and the adrenaline was through the roof. I couldn't control what I was doing. And then as you get called up again, slows up a little bit, and then you get sent down and you get called up again, and then it starts becoming like the game that you played your entire life. But I coached JV baseball at Elsinore, and when you're a great hitter, you don't feel like it's the hardest thing to do in the world, right? Like, you've hit your whole life, and it's something that you have success with, and like, I would never say that, because I did have success, and I wouldn't say that was the hardest thing to do in the world, right? Because I actually was able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I coached this past year and I saw how difficult it was for high school hitters to hit not just good pitching, but sometimes average pitching, it made me think, I'm like, damn, I don't remember it being this hard. But yeah, it's extremely hard to do. And when you watch, pitchers dominate hitters at this little level, you start to realize how difficult it is to hit. It's not easy. Yeah.
I mean, I think I've talked to you about this, but that's how I feel playing these opens, which is it's just a different level of speed. Because I'm not trying to like float my own boat or whatever the expression is, saying I'm on equal ground as them in talent. But I do feel that way a lot of times. I feel like our strokes are pretty similar. Talent-wise, some of these guys are just absolutely amazing. But a lot of times I feel I'm on an equal plane as my opponent. But it's the speed of their ball I'm just not used to. And it's that little, and I've said this before on other podcasts, where it might be just a 10-mile-per-hour difference, but it's a world of difference for me. I'm just that split second late on everything. And it's like, it's an easy match for them. And maybe my ball's that much slower to them.
I think that is a great comparable. Like when I first got to the big leagues, and even more so, like if I was younger, like, and I was in college and I had to go face big league pitching, like I would have got dominated, But the more you see it, like the more you play those guys, the more you get used to it, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. No, I do. And that's why I think the more I'm playing opens, the slower it's feeling. That not that it's getting any slower, but the more I'm getting used to it, right? And I can be calm out there more than I'm just feeling like I'm, going everywhere and I can't get my feet under me kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the more you face it, the easier it is, and you'll start catching up, and you'll be like, man, I remember that overwhelming feeling that I had that like, this is impossible. But sooner or later, when you're around it and you see it daily, it's not as impossible. And even more so, like if you hit with that type of a player on a daily basis, you'd probably fit right in, because you're right. Your strokes and everything is at the level, but they're just a little bit faster that you don't get to see on a daily basis. That's how I would see it. And I feel like that's kind of similar to maybe some of the juniors in this area, and they got to go play in Orange County, the Orange County kids, LA, they're hitting with better players daily.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes the kids here, they go out and they play tournaments and they get beat. And it's not that they're not as good as athletes. A lot of them are sometimes better athletes. Sometimes they're, but they're not seeing that just a little bit more speed or just a little bit better, tactical skills. But sooner or later they'll catch up, That's how I feel. I mean, sooner or later the crop will the cream will rise to the to the top, and But like for you, like I feel the same way. Like when I don't play and then we go and play a match, like there's times where I'm like, I'm overmatched right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's more because they've either they've played against that type of a player for so long.
Yeah.
That they're like, this is piece of cake,
Yeah. Well, we got to play some dubs. I'll try to find a tournament for us. Maybe we'll do some filming and I'll try to put it on the channel and stuff.
Dude, I'd love to play dubs with you and make a run, I think we could do really well.
We'll find the right tournament for us. Not too crazy, but something right in the middle. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome.
Awesome, Bobby. Well, thank you, my friend. I'm going to close it up here, but I really appreciate you coming. Okay?
That was great.
And we'll talk right after.
All right. Sounds
cool.
good.
Thanks.